I know this might sound naive and ignorant, but I've always wondered why satanic groups would sacrifice children to demons. Come to think of it though, it seems like the whole point is to trade that ultimate evil act for power, favor, or some kind of supernatural payoff from the forces of darkness.
This lady in a black robe came forward with this little baby, and she just laid it on the altar. It was breathing, but it wasn't crying. And then the high priest just took the athame, or the ceremonial dagger, and just cut the baby's throat and caught the blood in a chalice. At that point, I was staggering, reeling. I thought I was just going to throw up.
And in relation to what she said and shared in that clip, I'd like to share this one from Father Iannuzzi with you.
He uses the word Gehenna 3 times in today's gospel, and the reason is because Christ was a prophet and he spoke as a prophet. He came to fulfill all prophecies, including that of Jeremiah, who uses that same word that Jesus uses. This place called Gehenna, which is just outside of Jerusalem. It was a place where parents literally put their children into the fire, killed, sacrificed their child to Baal, the evil spirit of Satan that has pre-existed all material, rational beings. So we see this today with the release of these files on the government. On the government level, we find that there was an account in the name of Baal. What a coincidence, right? But the point is, this is far more reaching than we think. There are a lot of Luciferians in the world today guiding governments, and I don't say this lightly. There's a lot of evidence based upon released documents to suggest that these individuals are worshiping the devil. And they believe that by sacrificing children, which they did in the Old Testament to Moloch and Baal, they're all different names, Asmodeus, and so forth, and that they would obtain power and perpetuate their own agenda. So I use that parenthetically because in the gospel, the Lord speaks of Gehenna, and Gehenna is not just simply that place that Jeremiah referred to, that's also referred to in other parts of the Old Testament, but it represents symbolically the real place, not a physical, but a spiritual place, because no bodies are there as far as I know. Catherine Ann Emmerich alludes to one body being physically taken to hell, but it refers to the eternal place, which is predominantly accompanied by fire, cussing, blasphemies, stench like sulfur, darkness, the presence of Satan, despair, the things that St. Faustina describes when listing the characteristics of hell when she visited it. We also know it from other writings of the Council of Trent, right? Talks about how hell and purgatory are accompanied by different forms of purification and also by torture. Purification in purgatory, torture in hell. I remember this one penitent approached Padre Pio in the 1940s, late 40s. He said to Padre Pio in Pietrelcina, "Padre, I don't believe in hell because God is merciful. I don't believe that he would allow his creation to suffer for all eternity." And Padre Pio said, "You will believe it when you're there." He said it very flippantly, but he meant it. Maybe that was a prophecy, I don't know. But hell is real, and so is heaven. And they're both eternal places.
And it's heartbreaking how often people blame and curse God when life hits them hard with misfortune, then spiral into despair, turning away from Him completely. That kind of hardened rejection can lead to hell, which is why reminders like this one are so crucial.
When misfortune or calamity comes upon us, many of us often blame God immediately. When we receive a medical diagnosis, for example, that is crushing, that is painful, and certainly I'm not belittling that and the trauma that is and the tragedy that it is. But many of us often right away blame God. Lord, why are you doing this to me? Right? I have done this for you and this for you and this for you and this for you, and I try to live a good life and so on and so forth. You know, why are you doing this to me? As if God was the cause of the cancer, as if the destruction that we are facing is something that He has planned, and this is crazy. This is a false. This is part of our brokenness and a remnant of the fall of Adam and Eve within us. If you recall, the first reaction that Adam and Eve had to one another is they felt ashamed of their nakedness, so they clothed themselves. But part and parcel with that is they were afraid of God, so they hid themselves. Right? So the immediately upon the fall, a fear of God gripped us. And this fear is present within virtually all of us in some form or other until it is rooted out and redeemed. And so the manifestation of blaming God for something that befalls us, something that is unpleasant, is exactly that, a manifestation of the fall within us. God does not will evil upon us. He does permit it. And if he permits it, it's because there's a divine purpose for it. We may not see the purpose. To demand to know the purpose of everything is equivalent to demanding to be God. Right? So it is to pose a question to God and to demand an answer, whether we say it in those words or not, or with our attitude, is a demanding that God obey us. That is simultaneously a claim to be God. That is the very temptation with which the serpent in the Garden of Eden tempted Adam and Eve. Right? What he said is, you will not die if you eat of this fruit. God doesn't want you to eat it, because if you do, you're going to be like him. You are going to be gods. Right? So that is the primordial temptation, is the desire to be God within us. And the first manifestation of the fall is the fear of God. Right? An unhealthy fear of God. God terrifies us. So we have to hide from him. Right? He who created us, he who gave us every blessing, and he who created everything in order to fulfill the appetites with which he has embedded us. This is a direct result. The fear of God, the fear of the one who takes care of us, is a manifestation of that fall. So we would do well to eradicate that from us in this life, because otherwise we will have to do so in the state of purgatory. Right? Because you can't go to heaven with a false notion of God, with God being in some sense a monster, and that is what the cruel and avenging God is. The God, if we believe that he's the one who sent the cancer, if we believe that he's the one who stands back and cruelly watches us writhe in pain apart from any intervention on his part, that's not God. Right? And so if we're dying with that notion of God, then that God has to be slaughtered in the next life, so to speak, through suffering. And we need to then begin the journey into the therapy, into gaining a true and proper understanding of God within the next life, within the state of purgatory. And I tell you, friends, from the words of the church, from the words of the saints and mystics, and from the testimonies of souls that God has permitted to communicate with the living that are in the state of purgatory, it is much easier to eradicate that false notion of God in this life than it is through suffering in the next.
And before we get to the end of this video, please allow me to share this clip with you. Listen to this.
I think as we step back and look at the world, it's a mess. I mean, let's face it, wars and violence and terrorism, people turning away from the Lord, people turning to the occult and witchcraft, and it's just a mess. It's awful. And so what does the Lord want from us? What's the world need from us? It needs saints. Just a few saints can change the history of humankind. So the Lord needs you to be a saint. You say to yourself, well, I can't do that. And the answer is no, you can't. But the secret to sanctity is not us doing it. It's letting the Lord do that through us. When we allow the Lord to work through us, that's what makes saints. So, number one, I want you to every day in the morning when you wake up, offer yourself to the Lord. Say, Lord, work through me today. Let your grace, yes, your Spirit come upon me and make me a saint this day. And then there are some practical things you can do which the church provides some real important means to sanctity. Of course, going to Mass on Sunday, receiving the Eucharist, but many of you might be able to go to Mass more often during the week and some daily Mass. Wonderful. Go to confession regularly, at least once a month. If you want to be a saint, go more often. It's a powerful grace. And then I've noticed when people will, for example, go to Eucharistic adoration, pray in front of the tabernacle, or just especially when the Eucharist is exposed, I've seen some marvelous transformations happen to people who do Eucharistic adoration. So spending time with the Lord, or if you can't, just do it in your home. Spending time with the Lord, letting him work through you. Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I trust in you. And in the end, when we love Jesus, we trust in him and let us work through us. That's what makes saints. And you are needed more than ever. Heaven needs you. The earth needs you. It's a mess. This world is a mess. Heaven needs your help. So let us today resolve to let Jesus work through us. So repeat after me. Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I open my heart to you. Jesus, fill me with your presence. May your Holy Spirit guide me. And let us say with St. Paul, it is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And God bless you.
That will be all for the video this time. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. And hopefully all of you have learned a lot from this video. Remember, if there's any feedback or suggestion, please let us know in the comments below. And until the next one, thanks again for watching and may God bless you.